Okay, so we are recording, so if anybody does not want their video to show up on our webinar later, then you would want to turn that off now.
It looks like we've got a pretty small group today. Shall I just dive in since this is recorded and we could move on from there?
Yeah.
Or do you want to wait a few more minutes? How do you guys feel?
I think we can probably just get started. We'll probably have a few more joining us as we go along, but I think we can probably get going.
Okay, great. Well, good afternoon. I'm Gwen Koslowski. I'm so excited to talk trees and Arbor Day with you this afternoon. I thought I'd just share a little bit about our program. I work for the Vermont Urban and Community Forestry Program at UVM Extension, and our program is a partnership between UVM Extension and the Vermont Department of Forest, Parks, and Recreation. And we have a five staff total with a mission to support communities in stewardship and management of their trees. And we offer financial assistance through grants. We offer technical assistance to municipalities, whether that's ash tree inventories or street tree inventory or supporting town forest management plans. Additionally, we host educational programming around trees and invasive forest pests. So really, in a nutshell, we're everything about trees and people. And here's images of our 5 staff that we have on our team. So as you can imagine, Arbor Day is our big holiday. This is the 150th year of Arbor Day. And you may have heard that there's, a few different dates, and that's because there's a National Arbor Day that's always the last Friday in April. So I believe that's April 29th this year. And then there are state Arbor Days that are typically a good time for planting. So in Vermont, it's the first Friday in May, which is May 6th this year. But in other states like Florida, there are Arbor Days in January, which is just kind of fascinating to think about planting trees in January. I thought I'd share a little bit about the history of Arbor Day, which started in Nebraska. As settlers began moving into the Nebraska territory, the lack of trees was really felt by settlers, with no trees to keep to provide windbreaks or to keep soil in place or materials for building. So J. Sterling Morton started this holiday. He became the secretary of the Nebraska Territory in the 1870s. And he had such an enthusiasm for trees and tree plantings, and he advocated for civic groups and individuals to plant trees. So in 1874, Arbor Day was named a legal state holiday in Nebraska by the governor, and it was estimated that over 1 million trees were planted on that very first Arbor Day, which is a lot of trees. And then, of course, many other states followed suit with passing legislation to observe Arbor Day themselves. As we celebrate this holiday, we look towards the future, it's also important to note the historical context. J. Sterling Morton, the Arbor Day founder, was a problematic figure that promoted bigotry. And as we talk about him today, it's important to highlight that aspect of his legacy. I could share an article that details more about his politics if anyone is interested in learning more about that and understanding the context. But Arbor Day is much larger than one person. As most holidays celebrate something that has already happened that's worth remembering, Arbor Day is about thinking about the future and celebrating that hope. Planting trees plants hope for a better community and a better tomorrow, thinking about all the benefits that they provide, from wildlife habitat to shade to helping clean our air and water. It really is supporting healthier communities in a brighter tomorrow. So last year, we weren't able to celebrate our annual Arbor Day conference, so we looked for other ways to celebrate trees and people. And we started this lovely partnership with the Department of Libraries and came up with the idea of Arbor Day celebration kits. And these included a number of activities and handouts with some ideas, but generally we left it up to libraries to decide how to best use the materials. We distributed 50 Arbor Day kits last year, and you could see some photos that were submitted to us last year. The kits went really quick last year, so they were reserved in about 30 minutes. The response was really positive, and libraries did lots of different things. Some handed the materials out to patrons on a first come, first served basis. Some worked with Girl Scout troops. Some held in-person events or partnered with local schools. And once I get through my spiel, we'll have Gretchen and Sharon share their experiences too. But here you can see the creation of the stuff at my office this year for this year's kits. And this year we have upped the number available to 65. So we'll include run through what's included this year. So we updated the scavenger hunt. There's some really fun items here like a tree burl or perched bird. And although some of those words are a little bit bigger, they have some really nice images that help capture the text too. So there are 30 copies of the scavenger hunt included. There are 5 new craft ideas that are all tree themed based. My favorite here are the tree blossoms, painting tree blossoms with bubble wrap and creating sun catchers with crayon shaving. So none of the art supplies are included, but I chose activities with really simple materials that are paint, crayons, and things that you might have lying around. There are 30 copies of this included. Of course, we can't have a kit without a book list. So again, we updated this from last year, and there's one book list included in each of the kits. We've also included a top 9 tree species guide. These are some of the most common trees that you'll find in Vermont forests. So it has tips for identification, also a compilation of tree ID videos that are hosted on our website that cover some of the basics too. And these videos were created by Chittenden County Forester Ethan Tapper. So there's a short URL that's listed on the top 9 tree species guides that links you directly to this web page that has all the videos for an additional companion piece. And there are 30 copies of that included as well. These tree tags are laminated and highlight some of the benefits of trees. They are the same as last year, but a nice way to highlight a particular tree or have on display at the desk. And no ribbons are included, but I'm pretty sure we'll see how some folks have attached them to trees too as well. New this year is a tree benefits activity. The idea behind this item was to have another item that was adaptable to be sent home with patrons or to help you host an in-person event at your library. This document outlines the tree benefits for the instructor and then has an activity where you read a story to your participants about the benefits of trees from 2 perspectives. One is a student who loves trees and the other is a store owner who considers trees to be a nuisance. The story doesn't have a conclusion, so the activity allows participants an opportunity to either draw a conclusion or write out a story with an ending. And this is noted by having 2 separate variations, so you can decide which is most age appropriate for your audience. And this activity was based from a lesson from the Wisconsin Leaf Project. And you can adapt as you see fit. 1 copy is included, so if you were to send it home with your patrons, you'd have to make some copies, but that's why it's black and white for a reason, so it'll go a little bit easier to print and copy. We have some social media posts again this year that have images and text available if you're interested in sharing online. And I saved the best for last. We'll have, again, sugar maple grow kits that have a couple of sugar maple seeds and a grow pellet. This was by far and large the most loved item last year. And it's so rewarding to see those seeds grow. I know when I was little, I got a tree at Arbor Day to plant, and I know that's a lot of people's experiences, and that doesn't really happen anymore. So this is our way in trying to create that experience for young folks. And then really it's up to you on how to best use these items. I hope they're adaptable and interchangeable. And if you make kits to hand out to patrons, that's great. If you host an in-person event and mix and match, that's also great. So before I hand it over to Sharon, I just wanted to highlight a few other items. First of all of the documents are available on the Department of Library's website. So if you want to print any of the copies or just do one activity, you can get everything there. If you don't want a kit, but are looking for other activities and things to do, you could go to vtcommunityforestry.org/Arbor Day. And there you'll find other items including an Arbor Day proclamation, links to coloring pages, tools to explore tree benefits. And of course, I can't go without giving a shout out to our newly revamped Big Tree program. So if you have a big tree or want to host a big tree search or contest, there's information about that available. And so with that, I really just hope that you find the kits useful and fun, and I'll stop there. All right, Gretchen, would you be interested in sharing your experience?
Yes, I'd love to. That's what I'm here for. Let me try to share my screen. Share. I'm much better on Zoom than I am on Teams, so bear with me here for a moment.
No worries. Teams is definitely making it tricky sometimes.
Can you see that?
Yes, it's not in presentation mode, but we could see it.
That's perfect. I can put it in presentation mode. That's something I can do. So hello, everybody. My name is Gretchen Wright. I'm the director of Jericho Town Library up in Jericho. We had a great Arbor Day celebration last spring on May 8th. And I'm here just to talk about how it went and a couple of things, background to know about this program and about our library. This is a picture from a different program. I wish I had taken more pictures from Arbor Day last year. If I had known I was going to be presenting on it, I would have taken a few more photos. But this is a picture from another program. You can get a sense of what it looks like. That's our library building back there. And we're located directly on the town green, which is fantastic. It makes it really easy for outdoor programs. And we have a lot of trees there, so it was perfect for the scavenger hunt as well. So work with your space. This is what we had, and it worked really great for us. Another thing I'll say is that Jericho Town Library is kind of a solo librarian situation. It's kind of a one-woman show around here. So I love collaborations like this where you gave me all the materials I needed and I just had to implement it. I don't have, a lot of extra time kicking around. None of us do, but so it was great to just get all the resources from you and be able to put it on. Was really helpful for me. And I'll also say that Arbor Day last year was our first in-person program since March 2020 and was my first ever library program. I started here as the director October 2020. So it was my first ever program here. And I was a little nervous for it and it went great. We had a really good turnout for us, 45 people, which maybe isn't a lot for other places, but for us, that's a really good number. And it was a blast. We did it kind of open house style. So I think over 2 or 3 hours, folks just kind of shuffled by. And it was really, really spectacular. Everybody had a blast. It was such a fun day. So this image is just a little graphic that I made to put on our Instagram and Facebook, also Front Porch Forum, of course, which is where we promote all our programs, just to kind of get the word out for it. Like I said, it was outdoors. And when I was making this presentation, it was funny. It was only, less than a year ago and so much has changed. We did contact tracing back then, which is like so 2021. And so we definitely did contact tracing. And I don't think I said anything specific about masks, just kind of left it up to parents and families to figure out what they wanted to do. And that worked great. So we were out on the green. We had a nice pop-up canopy tent and 3 folding tables. And so we kind of structured it with a different in-person activity on each of those tables, plus the take-home bags. So for our in-person activities, we had a bunch of different things going on. The one that I gave people right when they came in to kind of get people started having fun was the scavenger hunt. And the scavenger hunt last year was perfect. There was one of everything on the town green, which was fantastic. I know you guys didn't plan it for Jericho Town Green, but it worked really well for us. So that was perfect. And it was so fun to see like kids from, some of the things were hard to find. So it was really great to see kids from different families kind of helping each other out and saying, do you know where the bird's nest is, and running around helping each other. So that was just really fun to see everybody working together. As you mentioned, the maple seed starting was very popular for us as well. That was another activity. And kids love getting their hands dirty. So that was really popular. And then the bark rubbing, in the kit last year, there was a list of the craft suggestions, and one of them was bark rubbings. I took it a step further and made it into placemats. So once kids had done a bark rubbing with crayons on a tree, I had contact paper. It was literally the stuff we use to cover our paperback books. We have rolls and rolls of that kicking around, and I never buy paperbacks anymore. So I just sheets of that on both sides of the paper, and it was a, makes it waterproof essentially. So placemats that people could take home. That was really popular as well. So we had those three kind of activities going on. And then passive programming as well, kind of. I had pulled a couple of books about trees, and I had a laptop outside to check books out to people if they wanted them. And then also there was a webinar series last year at an arborist. And so I made up this in the bottom right corner of the screen here is this little, it's like a little quarter sheet sized flyer that I just had sitting on tables for people to take if they wanted to. So that was there as well for our in-person activities. And in addition to that, we had take-home bags. And I should have said those were, once people finished the scavenger hunt, I gave them their take-home kit as their prize. And that was a big hit. I think kids weren't expecting to get a prize at an Arbor Day celebration, and they did. And so it was, a great surprise. So in each bag, I essentially put everything from the Arbor Day kit that I wasn't using for in-person programming. I just kind of chucked in the bag. So for example, on that list of craft ideas that you had, one of them was for a magic wand, and I didn't do that in person, but I included supplies for that in the kit and instructions so that people could do that at home. There was a bookmark sent in the kit from y'all that we could color in. Those were in there. The tree ID sheet was in there, and I had extra copies of the Scavenger Hunt. So what the heck, I put those in there too. And then raffle info, of course. Thank you, Gwen. So people could know how to submit for the raffle once they did their take-home kits. So I think I gave out about 20 of these bags day of, and the leftovers were our craft kit that week. So I gave away probably 30, 35 at the end of it all. I tried to use everything that you sent. I didn't want to, recycle anything. And so, yeah, the little green Arbor Day kit bags were really cute. And I think the kids loved getting them as prizes. And I hope they did. I know some people entered into the raffle, Gwen said. So I hope that people actually did the crafts and everything. But that's what we had for our take-home activities. And that was it. It was a very easy day to put together. This is just my little conclusion slide. We love our trees on the green. We're really lucky to have such beautiful old trees, and it was a great program. If anybody's kind of on the fence about participating this year, I definitely recommend it. Like I said at the beginning, it's so great if you're feeling it was so great to have all of the resources given to me so that I could just implement it and not have to, type up the language and come up with crafts. And we don't have a color printer, so I'd have to pay to get stuff printed at Staples and all that. Didn't need to do any of that. So it was a great program. Thank you again for facilitating it last year. And I'm hoping to get on the list this year again. I guess we'll have to see. That's all I have. If anybody has questions, I'm happy to answer them, to chat more.
Gretchen, that's perfect. I think that was such a nice way to just kick off. You highlighted all the different, it was so creative too. I think there's only a handful of folks that had done some in-person programming. So you really just took all the things and ran, and you hit on the nail on the head with the availability of like color copies and just having the things to go and like be ready to hand them out. So that's what we were hoping to have. So I'm so glad it worked out for you. And yes, you also noted we will be hosting these again. So I think we're going to send the link out to everyone that's here participating. If they're interested, you get the like pre-sign up.
Ooh, okay.
Because the kits went really fast last year, within about a half an hour. So we'll make sure that folks that are here will get kind of like a head start. So sign up this afternoon, and then we'll share it out widely with the other libraries. And April and Jonathan, correct me if that's not the plan. So wonderful. Thank you so much. So any questions for Gretchen right now? Type them in the chat or feel free to unmute. All right, so with that, we'll switch over to Sharon's experience. Sharon, you are at the Alice M. Ward Memorial Library, is that correct?
That's correct. I am the library director in Canaan, Vermont, Vermont's northeast corner town in Essex County. We're one of only 3 libraries in Essex County, so we're were small, but we were thrilled to get these kits. Gretchen did a phenomenal job talking about her experience with great slides and so many great sentiments that I will echo about having these materials ready for us. My position is an unbenefited 25-hour per week position to run the library. So to have it all together, I cannot echo enough how wonderful that is. It's so easy for me to implement. And the forest industry in Essex County, as rural and remote as we are, is always a very popular topic. So we got a lot of people involved. So I have a few.
Would you like me to share, Sharon, so that you don't have to navigate that? Okay, so I'll share your slides. Just 1 second.
Like Gretchen, I've not done a screen share in Teams. So today, and I still haven't, but you're doing a great job, Gwen. So the first thing I did with and this is repetitive because we've seen this thanks to Gwen, the first thing I did was invite the first and second grade over because I have a wonderful teacher who I have a great relationship with. And she brought first and second grade over to take the sheet on the left that is laminated. And we took sisal twine out to the park and put these signs on our trees in our park for the many, many people who visit our town center. So they came over to do that. I included the slide on the right because we gave this to our high school students in our CTE program for diversified agriculture. CTE is, I just blanked, career and technical education. So we have a huge CTE program center in Canaan, which is actually the Region 1 center, also for the state of New Hampshire for a CTE center, where we're a half a mile from those students. So we also got, I think, 25 high school students, and that included outreach to the library to these outdoorsy agriculture-based students, and it's just a great connection to make. Next slide. So that's why I just included that it doesn't just have to be, you think about families and younger kids. These two activities, which Gwen showed the updates, I love the updates, can't wait to get them, were for the medium age kids and the little kids, and they were great. And you can just go to the next one. These were given out, and this was our activity with the first and second grade. I made just paper bags like Gretchen did with the same materials and those Gretchen did. And they got their very own sugar maple grow kit to plant at home with their families, and they were so excited. So those kids went to the first and second grade, which is small here in Canaan, and their families. And we also gave the kits to these high school students. We also gave them to patrons as they, came in and out of the library. And we gave them to our playgroup kids, which were meeting outdoors at that time. So the nice thing about the older kids was that their sugar maple grow kits got planted in the Canaan Community Forest. And we estimate that I think 30 got planted in our community forest. Next, and those are some old trees on our lawn. Next slide. This is the whoops. Can you go back one? The group of the first and second. There's the first and second grade combined. That's a combined first and second grade, by the way. And that's our library, 1846 library. And you can see the chairs in the background there. We brought the first and second grade class over to read books about trees. And we read this book, Trillions of Trees, which is a counting and planting book. So we also got some literacy credit there. Thank you, Gwen, not just trees, but we read books. And it's kind of bizarre to see masks and what we were doing back then and even outside. And you can see one of the laminated sheets on the tree there that was one that was hung up. And the last slide is, there's my little buddies. We split up in the library, and that's Fletcher Park in our town center. And the grass is just coming up, maybe to be mowed for the first time on May 6th. And the fountain and the library, and we broke up into small groups where the library director went around with the kids and put these laminates up on our trees and displayed them in the park for about a month. And they were great. And there was a newspaper article that went in our local paper with this picture, which was wonderful. And that's it. The other book we read, which I didn't include in the slide, was this book. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see me? The Summer of the Tree Army, which is about the Civilian Conservation Corps and you know, the work programs that built some of our forests, especially in this area. So that was a really special connection as well. So thank you, Gwen. Great job, Gretchen. And sign me up for this year. We, as a conduit for our community in a very small town in a very rural area, I am so pleased that our connection to get to so many generations and ages of people with this program made it a complete success.
My heart's so happy. I sat like, you know, I did most of this printing myself because, you know, you all know sending it out to somewhere to get it printed is a lot of money. So I was, you know, working our office printer for a few days at a time. And I'm like, boy, I hope these get used. And it's just so exciting to see the impact that you both have made in your communities, and knowing that it just has spread so far and wide to so many families and beyond. It's just so incredibly, I don't even know the word. I'm just really impressed and so grateful for the work that you've done in your communities. And I'm so happy to have played a small part to help make that happen. So we are looking forward to this year. And I'm just, any questions for either Gretchen or Sharon? I'm just so delighted to have them both here to share their experiences.
I just wanted to say that I also, was really great to hear all the amazing things that they were doing at the libraries with the kits. And it wasn't, and I'm sure you probably were too, Gwen, taking notes for ideas for next year. The placemat, the read aloud tied into it, all sorts of fantastic ideas. Just the extensions, and because y'all know each other, your communities best and what will work for them. And also just like hearing about that it wasn't necessarily just like one program, that you thought about how you could maybe tie in for different age groups, all, you know, potentially all ages programming, or like multiple programs related to Arbor Day or related to using the kits, which is just really awesome.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to kind of build on that, I love, Sharon, hearing about all the different things you did. We got the exact same materials, but both of us did very different things with it. I love the idea of getting the schools involved. That never even crossed my mind. That's a great idea. And like I hung the tree tags on the trees in the green during our one celebration, but then I took them down afterwards. I love the idea of displaying them. That's a great idea. So I meant to say this in my presentation as well. Like, you can take the kit they give you and make a lot of different things with it, and make a different lot of way, go a lot of different ways with it, and do whatever works best for your own library and what your staff is comfortable with and everything. So yeah. It's great. Thumbs up. Thanks again for doing it this year. It's awesome.
Oh, and I was going to say too, I did forget to mention when you're talking about the tree tags, the idea of having the kids help put them up.
Yeah,
I think is a great idea, because it's always nice to involve kids and teens in programming, but sometimes it's like, it's easier to like take control of those things and just like do it and then have everybody come out and look at it. But that idea of them going out and actually being involved and doing that part of it, I think is really fantastic.
right. And I put tags around the trees in the green, but I don't know how many people even looked at them. Certainly no kid is going to be like, oh gosh, what does that sign say? But if the kid is putting it on the tree themselves, they're like, oh, well, let's see what this says. That's a great way to make it a little bit more exciting for kids. So yeah, that's a great idea.
I would like to add that when we tied in the community forest with the CTE kids, it was really exciting, because those are the things that go in reports at town meetings and help keep our municipal library funded and relevant. And I hope you realized, Gwen, how it helps us connect to our library patrons. We do have a color copier, and I have a budget just for copying, because we're the only copy center within probably 25 miles of this town. And it is a huge leader to get people in the library. So I'm just going to throw that in there. It's nothing to do with trees, but
That's great. Sharon.
It's such a good example of how to connect to others in your community and keep your library sustainable and relevant and important, because Arbor Day and trees are important. I really appreciate this.
Well, thank you both. Jonathan or April, any other thoughts to wrap up? Any questions? When will that registration link be available?
I can put the registration for the kits in the chat now.
Oh, and
Get
I was
that.
going to share, while you do that, April, we did have Alice Godin from Waterbury Library wasn't able to join us today, but she shared what they did with the kits. Also so they're very small. I'll just read what she said, and then I can also I'll maybe pop up the picture of the kits that they did that she sent me too. So she said, last year we were still operating as a seasonal all volunteer run library. I stamped some lunch-sized paper bags with trees and added the activity, tree ID flyers, sending seedling starters from the Arbor Day kits as an opening day giveaway for our patrons when we reopened in June. So since they were closed, they kept their kits and then used them later in the summer. And I believe they also did it as part of like the summer reading kind of kickoff too. And then they also put out tree and gardening books and had a free seed giveaway as well. And this year we've piloted staying open through the winter, still all volunteer. So we'll hopefully have a gardening related program when the warm weather returns instead of a reopening day. I would consider this as a passive program as a way to encourage people to visit and see what is available at the library. So again, is just really great to hear, again, a library that is, all volunteer run, and they were really able to benefit from these kits, even in, more of a sort of like passive programming kind of way, in a way that would benefit their community.
3 different libraries and 3 different experiences. It's so exciting. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Sharon.
I had one more comment that the reason I clicked the link so quickly to take advantage of this program is because it was an outdoor program, and that hasn't been mentioned, but because we're living in different times than we were a year ago. But what a huge deal it was to be like, yeah, outdoor program with the kids. I can bring the kids over. Nobody was doing indoor programming with groups. So, and it was finally May, and it was great. So let's not forget where we started a year ago.
Yeah, and I know that I've been impressed with the amount of outdoor programming in general that libraries were doing, and it seems like I know that a lot of that even sort of predates COVID stuff, because it's a way to engage with the community, and it's Vermonters, people love being outside, but I think that people have really embraced that, and I know that like hopefully there will be more indoor programming looks like it's going to be happening, but I think that there's still going to be a ton of like outdoor programming along with that. And I did drop the picture of the kits that they put together at Waterbury Library, which were like hand stamped, which are pretty cool.
This was not just an outdoor program, Gwen. It was a quality outdoor program. Just want to make that clear. So.
That's so kind of you. Also, you both have incredible Canva skills to be able to make those posts for your bags and things too. That's impressive.
I'd be nowhere without Canva. I don't know what I would do.
I also love Canva.
It's a great tool.
And my board of directors is always like, your Instagram is so good. Gosh, you do a great job. I'm like, I couldn't do it without Canva. Like that, Canva gets all the props for it. I can't do anything.
That's a riot.
Okay, so I put the request a kit form in the chat, so everyone here gets to sign up first. I'm going to send it out on the listservs in about a half an hour, I think. And then I'm going to start watching the form because they went so quickly last year.
Great. Well, I just want to thank everyone for their time today, and I'm so appreciative to know that this has really made an impact, because sometimes a lot of my work, I just sit behind my computer at Canva making nice things and wondering if they land. So I'm just it's so empowering to know that this program made an impact in your communities, and it went to 50 different communities last year, and although not everyone is here, they were received very well on the response forms too. So it was I think a really powerful tool to be able to bring people together. Like you said, outside, it was a different time than we are now. And then this year, there's a few other options and ways, like we designed everything in the kit to be used or fun or interchangeable, and whatever makes sense to you. There are no rules when it comes to this stuff. So we hope to make it, you know, free and fun and easy to use. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise, and I'm just so grateful for your time today. Thank you.
And thank you, Gwen. We really appreciate it. And all the you know, as was talked about, everything that was in the kits was fantastic last year, but there's the added activities that she talked about are really, really great. So we're excited for you to use those this year as well. Really fantastic. So thank you so much, Gwen.
Thank you. All right. Well, please reach out with any questions, and hopefully these will get to you soon.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Be well.